Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And today's show is brought to you by the Pilsner House and Beer Garden. Go visit our friends at 1422 Grand Street. Have a pretzel, have those ribs, have that great watermelon salad, and have a great time. We are also sponsored by Longshot Pistol and Rifle, Secaucus, New Jersey, providing responsible CCW training only to responsible owners. Visit their huge indoor training center and full-service gun store. Start your CCW training today, Longshot Secaucus. And it is bright out here today at Maxwell Place Pier, and I have to put my sunglasses back on here. And always a person that brightens my day is a person that needs absolutely no introduction, and that is Dr. Christine Johnson, the Hoboken Superintendent of Schools. It is an honor to have you on today.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with you.
Yes, thank you. And of course, September means back to school, the dreaded words for many, probably all students, and you know, the wonderful word for many parents, we should say. But before we get into the new school year, you know, I feel like we do need to tackle the elephant in the room, and why not do it right at the beginning of the segment, and why not beat up a dead elephant, let's just say in this case, and that was the school referendum earlier this year to build a new high school. Of course, it did fail by a 2-1 margin. What was your initial reaction to that, Dr. Johnson? Because I knew you were a big proponent of bringing this new high school to our community.
Sure. I mean, our biggest concern has been our facilities. So over the last few years, we've seen enrollment growth. We've seen it over a long period of time. We're actually also seeing enrollment growth from this past school year to this school year. So, you know, one of the reasons why we embarked on a referendum project was really to put into action a long-range facilities plan. It wasn't just to build a new high school. It was actually to resolve needs across the district from a facilities perspective. When it didn't pass, of course, I was disappointed. But, you know, I always take things in stride, and I always take them as learning experiences. And so as a result of not only the results of the referendum themselves, but I think also because of some of the comments that we heard and some of the input that we received from people, both on the pro side and the con side, it really helped me put things in perspective in terms of what things need more input, what things maybe we got right, what things we still are going to have challenges with. So, you know, overall, it was an experience that provided me with, as well as I think the Board of Education, with a roadmap to the future. And like I said before, we learned a lot of lessons through it. We're not in a situation right now where we're barreling through and plotting or planning some next referendum. What we're doing right now is hosting community roundtables. We're hosting parent roundtables, a whole host of experiences, both during the day, at night. Some are online or remote, some are in person, to just hear what people have to say. And then once all that's done, we'll go back to the drawing board and see what our next steps are.
Amazing, it really is. And again, I just want to follow up on this, and then we're going to move on. But something that was mentioned now 8 months ago when the referendum was before it being voted on, was an enrollment at the high school. They basically were saying at the current high school, we're only at 1/4 of its capacity. So why do we need a new high school? You and I have spoke off camera about this. That is not necessarily true, correct?
Yeah, and also, I think one of the most important things is that, again, this was part of a long-range facilities plan.
Gotcha.
The long-range facilities plan had middle school students actually exiting the Demarest school, heading into the current high school, providing them with a more comprehensive middle school program. Mm-hmm. And the idea was to utilize the funding that was committed by the SDA to refurbish and to do revision work and construction work at the Demarest School to make it a fourth elementary school.
Gotcha.
And so that took us to the high school, and we've had conversations offline about the capacity at the high school. And from a pure number perspective and from a historical perspective, that's correct. The high school was built, and when the ribbon was cut, the capacity in the high school was 1,400 students. But interestingly, the number of labs that were actually identified in that new building, the programs that were in place at that time are very different than they are now. So I always say that there's a functional capacity in a building, and then there's also what we call an academic capacity or an educational capacity. And oftentimes with educational capacity, what ends up happening is as time goes on, in our current high school, for example, we now have a double room that's set up as a hydroponics, aquaponics lab. It didn't exist then. We have a school-based youth services program. Didn't exist then. We have a biomedical science lab. We have engineering labs. We have computer science labs. So all of these things are just a few that actually reduce the overall capacity, but every high school experiences that.
Right.
It's not common.
It's not just Hoboken, right?
Correct.
Right, and that's a really, really good point. If you're bringing in new labs and new resources for the current students to learn about the outside world, as the people like to say, obviously the capacity in terms of the amount of students goes down.
It decreases.
Correct.
Absolutely. And, the other thing, too, is I think in an article that was published back when the ribbon was cut on the new school, it talked about the number of students in each classroom. And, not only in Hoboken, but in the vast majority of high schools across New Jersey, we're not seating 30 to 32 or 34 students in a classroom, even at the high school level. So that also reduces the capacity in the building.
Interesting. Well, okay, so we're going to move on because, like I said in the beginning of the segment, we are in the beginning of a new school year. This Thursday, for all you kids out there, you only get to sleep late just a few more days, right or wrong. If you're a student of the Hoboken District Schools, what can you expect going in for your first day?
So I think there's going to be a lot of excitement.
Gotcha.
Clearly, the last 2.5 years have been challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Hoboken Public School District has done a really good job managing the COVID pandemic in terms of education. But I think this is like a really special year. This is a year to bring kids in, to make them feel as safe as they possibly can, to make them excited about all of the possibilities. I think over the last couple of years, kids across the state of New Jersey and across the country and world have felt somewhat trepidatious about what lies ahead. So this year, our elementary schools will see the Rockin' Red Wings on the first day of school at each of the schools at some point in the day. I think throughout the year, the kids are going to be so excited about seeing an addition of some middle school sports programs. We're adding soccer to the middle school. We're adding volleyball. We're adding cross country. Those kind of things keep kids really excited throughout the school day and then also after school. And it gives them something really productive to do. And keep focused on both like athletics, extracurriculars, and academics.
And of course, another aspect of any school district in the state of New Jersey is what the parents can expect. Because although they're not in the day-to-day classrooms with their kids, obviously, they are as involved as they can be, let's just say. What can parents expect? I think you came across, or you mentioned some of the new programs that are moving forward. But, as a parent, what is different between the 2022-2023 school year as compared to last year?
Well, I think our PTOs and our Hoboken Public Education Foundation are now kind of looking to the future. We've taken a few steps beyond the pandemic in terms of requirements and restrictions. And so I think we're going to see for sure more parent involvement in terms of being able to make their way back into the schools. And, you know, my biggest hope is to be able to join over at Wallace, where Principal Shannon does waffles with Wallace, and Mr. Bartlett does breakfast with the principal, and Miss Pick up at the high school does, you know, her activities with parents. So very, very, very excited about those things. And also at the high school, we're putting in an academic support center for a whole host of reasons. Number one, to increase the number of online and remote opportunities for kids to take everything from collegiate courses to just classes that we might not be able to offer as a result of our size.
Right.
We're also going to be putting in a College and Career Readiness Academy that will continue the work that the guidance department is doing, and parents will be involved in that.
That's fabulous.
So there's a whole host of examples.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. I mean, time flies when you're having fun. Dr. Christine Johnson, our Hoboken Superintendent of Schools. I know firsthand one of the hardest working public service that we have in this community. Thank you so much. And I hope in the future you can invite us into your school to see some of these new programs.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, because I'm always excited to go back to school.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you,
Thank
Peter.
you again. I really appreciate it. All right, folks, we will be right back.
Welcome to Hudson River Care and Counseling. Hello, I'm Dr. Prempeh, the CEO and founder of Hudson River Care and Counseling with over 30 years of clinical social work experience in therapy. We are a progressive counseling and coaching practice with a diverse team that brings a holistic approach to clients. We offer support both in person and through digital platforms such as telehealth. Consider us a safe haven that you can trust with care for your mental health needs. Visit our website to set up a consultation today.
Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Happy to be replacing that bum, Peter Biancamano, who calls himself a hostess because he's not sure which bathroom he needs to use. And I'm so happy and honored to be joined today by GOP Congressional District 9 candidate Billy Prempeh. Thanks so much for joining us, Billy.
What's going on? That was one hell of an intro.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and you're one hell of a candidate.
Thank you.
So tell us, our Hudson County and our viewers, I believe Secaucus is actually in your district.
So in Hudson County, it's Kearney and Secaucus. Well, it's a part of Kearney.
Okay.
They cut it out in a very weird way, but it's a little portion of the northern part of Kearney and Secaucus. They're the only parts of Hudson County that make up District 9. There's about 25 municipalities in Bergen and 9 in Passaic County as well.
And the counties the towns in Bergen, are they southern Bergen County or where are
Yep,
they?
southern Bergen County. Most of the blue collar areas. A lot of South Passaic as well too.
Okay.
Inside of the district.
Well, like you were just saying, or on the topic of what you were just saying, how they cut out districts, a little bit funny. It's because the political ruling class always wants to gerrymander things and stop real people such as yourself from running for office.
Well, to be completely honest, I'm one of the few people that actually is okay with the new congressional district map. And the reason why is because the district actually got significantly more competitive for us. In 2020, when I ran last time, in fact, I guess the last time I was on here, the district was a D16. The PVI rating was D16. It's now currently a D9 district. We lost a lot of the Democrat towns. There was a lot more Republican towns that have been added into the mix. The demographics have changed as well too. So it's a much better climate, and the more that they continue to push us off the cliff, the better our shot is at actually replacing the incumbent right now.
Now for viewers out there, could you explain what you mean by D16 and D9?
So what that basically means is that Democrats had a 16% a 16-point advantage in the area because of demographics primarily, voter demographics, I should say. But since a lot of the towns like Cresskill, Tenafly, Englewood, Fort Lee, a lot of those areas were removed from the district, and instead we picked up North Halden, Oakland, Franklin Lakes, Pompton Lakes, towns that are a lot redder, a lot more unaffiliated. So I think that's actually a very good thing. And the response has been tremendous this go around in 22.
Well, I know last time you ran, you did better than any Republican ever in that district against the useless and morally corrupt current Congressman, Representative Bill Pascrell. So what is going to be different about this campaign? How are you going to reach independents? And I think I'm just going to throw 2 questions at you right now.
Sure. All right. Well, for this specific campaign in 2020, when we ran, it was all, hey, we're Republican, vote for Republicans, and, just get rid of these people. And while that seems like a pretty nice, jolly message that a lot of conservatives would agree with, it actually doesn't get votes at the end of the day, because our country's now at a point where we need someone with results. We need someone with a plan and an action plan to actually move the district forward. So now we're moving forward with a lot of policy. The campaign's been very policy focused. We've been sharing ideas like the 8-10-12 plan we have for term limits, the Freedom of Education program that I have created that would create a federal framework to allow for trade programs in our high schools without increasing taxes on homeowners as well too, and much, much more. We've been just sharing our message with the people, and people are resonating with it. The Democrats, they're focusing on a lot of rhetoric and divisiveness, while we're actually pushing a message of unity, as well as creating a game plan for our future prosperity in this country.
Well, I mean, just like you said, with the Democrats and their quote unquote plans, it's all about, they have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency, but all they're talking about is how Donald Trump is evil and Republicans are evil. Yet at the same time, everyone around the kitchen table, everyone's wallet is shrinking. So when you're elected, Billy Prempeh goes to Congress. What are you going to do to get the economy back on track, to get us out of this recession, and to make everyone's dollar worth more?
Well, first things first is what are the ways that I feel that we can fix it, because it's going to be a long-term problem. We've just printed about $2 trillion with this inflation creation. I call it the Inflation Creation Act, but the Inflation Reduction Act does nothing to reduce the inflation. We've printed more money. We got to borrow that from the fractional reserve bank, which means future generations are going to have to pay off for that. $45 billion inside of that is going towards hiring IRS agents that are going to come and crack down on all of us and tax us even more. One of the things that I want to propose here for the state of New Jersey, which I think I could get done. Bill Pascrell wasn't able to get it done. Neither was Josh Gottheimer and Mickey Sherrill. They all fell back on their promises to increase the SALT deduction for people here in the state of New Jersey. I think it's a great unifying message that we can share to the rest of the country, because it also helped Republicans pick up some Democrats that are also struggling under these tax burdens that we have going on right now.
Oh, that sounds absolutely terrific. So in terms of winning over independents or common sense oriented Democrats, because you are out there and we appreciate you.
We do.
How are you reaching them this campaign season?
It's funny. When we ran in 2020, it was very targeted. We're just talking to Republicans, a couple of unaffiliateds. Right now, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or anything. Every single one of us is hurting in this economy right now. It's only been less than 2 years, and the Joe Biden administration has set this place on fire, and many Democrats already see that. So what people want to hear now is, what are you going to do to get us back on track? 90% of the people across the United States, there have been hundreds of polls that have been done on this. A lot of them are in favor of term limits. We have people that have been in office for decades that have completely lost the way. And that's one of the first things that I want to actually introduce is the 8-10-12 plan. 8 for the president, 10 for Congress, 12 for the Senate. And if you're already a sitting member of the House, you can vote on this bill, but you'll be exempt from it. Anybody that chooses not to vote for that bill, now they have to explain to the American people why they want to keep a system that 90% of America doesn't want.
Well, they want to keep it because everyone goes into, or many people go into public service, elected office, middle class or upper middle class, and they come out in the top 1%.
Kind of like my opponent. He went in $170,000 a year, and now he's worth about, I believe, $8 million, almost $10 million now, from sitting in office for over 26 years. I mean, I find that very interesting. Nancy Pelosi's another one that's doing that. So we got to get these people out.
These hypocrites, they love to talk down to the average, working class and middle class, hardworking families. At the same time, they're grifters that are making money in ways that if people at Wall Street behind us, were doing it, they would go to jail. But since it's Congress, it's supposedly okay. And I say that's not kosher. So we got 1 more minute left on the clock. Anything else you want to say to the voters out there?
Yeah, so to the voters that are out there, especially the young generation, you guys are the future. Now is the time for you to actually come out and vote. If you want to learn a lot more about the policies that I've got a lot of them in very big detail on my website, www.billyprempeh.com. We need volunteers. Lots of people are volunteering and helping us as well. You can volunteer on the website. And if you want to support the campaign, please consider making a donation, because in order for us to get the message out, we're counting on you to help us. www.billyprempeh.com. I look forward to your vote November 8th.
And we'll put that up on screen for everybody so everyone can see the website and have some time to plug it into your computer machine, whether you're watching on the internet or at home on the tube. Billy, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure and
Excellent.
an honor.
Always a pleasure, brother. Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Fios Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano back in the host chair, and as promised last week, we have a very, 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 very special guest. Wow, that was like 4 or 5. You know what? We just had Josh Sotomayor Einstein on the last segment, and who really cares about him, right?
I mean, you heard what I said about him off camera. Josh, you're a great human being, but...
I don't know. You want to repeat what you said off camera about him?
Oh,
or?
what? That I said his clothes look like he listens to now. That's what I call dad rock?
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. That's it. I don't have to say anything else. Let's move right on.
Everybody.
Exactly. Rob Tonnesen, our pro wrestling insider, back for the second week in a row. Thanks for coming back.
My pleasure. And I just want to say happy Labor Day weekend, everybody out there.
Absolutely.
And best of luck to everybody starting the first day of school. Good luck to the first year teachers, and especially good luck to first year admins. They have it especially tough.
Wow. We should just end the segment. Who needs a pro wrestling insight, correct?
Emmy, please.
I love it. I love it. All right, Rob. We previewed it last week. AEW is having a pay-per-view this Sunday, today, September 4th, called All Out.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Very excited because, honestly, AEW is a mess right now.
Right.
Backstage, there's a lot of stuff going on. It just recently came out that Eddie Kingston punched Sammy Guevara in the face for reasons he totally deserved, which is out there, and just a lot of drama, which we'll get into, going on in AEW. But AEW's kind of a mess right now, and it really hurts to see, because a lot of things going on with AEW does not have to be that way. I love Tony Khan. I love everything that AEW is, but I just feel this is a bad idea when you let the boys become in charge of everything.
Interesting. And it seems like it's a recipe for disaster. And like many other promotions who have started and failed, like TNA.
Well, TNA's still around. You do have Impact. It's not called TNA anymore.
Right.
Impact's still around.
However, it's still not the powerhouse that it once was. So.
Before we continue, I do want to call you out.
Okay.
So
here we go.
So we've been friends for 23 years now.
Who's counting now?
Right. So back in 2008, you had mentioned to me you were getting sick of WWE, and you had wanted to see an alternative.
This is 14 years ago.
I remember.
This is unbelievable.
So I had suggested to you Ring of Honor, which we'll talk about, right? And it makes sense. So I had brought over a DVD copy of Ring of Honor Final Battle 2008. Do you remember anybody that wrestled that night?
You brought it over to my place?
Yeah, I brought it over to your place. We watched it over at your house.
Well, no, not at all.
Okay, so here's people that were on the card, which we'll talk about.
Okay.
Kenny Omega.
Interesting.
Claudio Castagnoli.
Who is, of course, Cesaro, right?
But now he's back to being Claudio Castagnoli.
That's right.
Kevin Steen and El Generico, who you know better as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Both in the WWE?
Correct.
Yeah.
Tyler Black, who you know better as Seth Rollins.
Gotcha.
And a guy we'll talk about in a couple minutes, Ryan Danielson.
Interesting. Yeah. 14 years later.
Yes, and you said you didn't like it.
I did not like it.
You did not like it.
I did not like it.
No.
And I really don't like those guys still, to be honest with you. I'm more of a traditionalist.
And this has been the last episode of the Pulse with Peter B. He's gonna go take a little.
I'm
going to
go swim with the fishes. All right. Well, why don't we get back to the AEW pay-per-view?
Yes.
Now that we got my personal opinion out of the way, and why don't we talk about the championship match? And it is your favorite wrestler of all time, CM Punk versus Jon Moxley, also known as Dean Ambrose.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Who do you like in this one?
CM Punk will win.
Wow.
CM Punk should not win.
Why is that?
CM Punk is coming back as a nostalgia act at this point, I truly feel. Jon Moxley in the past 4 months, ever since he came back from rehab, has had classic match after classic match, both on AEW Dynamite, Rampage, pay-per-views, or on the independent scene. He's put out instant classic after instant classic. And Jon Moxley really has been the person that's carried AEW during the pandemic, during the no crowd shows. And as interim champion, he's done fantastic.
Wow.
CM Punk is the name. CM Punk's the attraction. CM Punk's the person that is the household name. You've heard of CM Punk before, even if you've never watched wrestling.
Interesting.
So you put the belt on him because you know the name. He's going to bring you into the crowd.
And do you think this is why they are, we spoke about window dressing last week when it came to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. You think they're trying to do this with CM Punk because there's so much turmoil in backstage, or?
No, I think Punk actually, in some ways, is a catalyst for a lot of the drama.
Right. Interesting. All right, let's get on. So you believe CM Punk?
I believe CM Punk, but it should be Jon Moxley.
So Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
I mean, how old is Jericho now?
Jericho has got to be at least, I think he's in his 50s. He's got to be 51, 50, 51. I'm not 1,000% sure.
And Bryan Danielson, of course, the former Daniel Bryan, I got that correct.
Yes.
Who he's probably pushing 50 as well these days.
No, he's in his late 30s, early 40s.
Okay, so there you go. Okay, so no, but these are two. What I was getting at were these are two veterans of the ring.
Yes.
Who do you like in this one?
Bryan Danielson.
Interesting.
And I love Bryan Danielson. Ever since he's come to AEW, he's wrestled for the sake of wrestling. He's a part of the Blackpool Combat Club, which is the greatest wrestling faction. William Regal, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta. It's fun. This has been an interesting little story about Daniel Garcia, who is a member of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And Jericho has done this, I'm a sports entertainer, not a wrestler. And Bryan Danielson's like, no, I'm a wrestler. And Daniel Garcia, winner of the 2021 PWG Battle of Los Angeles, he is the next coming of Bryan Danielson.
Interesting.
Like that pure wrestling wrestler.
Okay, who did you like in this one?
Bryan Danielson.
Bryan Danielson. All right. Now, the next match is interesting because it is the finals of the Trios tournament, and I have no idea what that means, and I had to look to my notes, but explain this to me, Rob.
The Trios tournament. The King of Trios, as I like to call it. The King of Trios. Basically, it's a six-man.
Gotcha.
It's instead of it's a tag team plus one.
Oh.
So it's 3 guys versus 3 guys.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So as of we're filming, there are 5 teams remaining. There's the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. There's the United Empire, Will Ospreay and Aussie Open. There's the Best Friends, Trent, Chuck Taylor, and Orange Cassidy. And there's the Dark Order. You can make a case for all 5. You really can. You can make a case why all 5 of them should win. These titles, these belts, this tournament was really made for one thing and one thing only. That's Kenny Omega and the Elite, so they're probably going to win. I don't think they should win. I truly think that Will Ospreay and Aussie Open of the United Empire should win. The only reason why is because of fist rules, friends in similar tights. So I like when tag teams match.
Okay.
So they do that, and it's the little things.
The little things.
But
what do you like?
The Elite.
The Elite. Got it. Finally, we're talking about the interim AEW Women's Champion. And another thing I'm confused about when I'm looking at my notes, and it's a fatal 4-way. I mean, is whoever going to win going to be like the title holder for just a few months?
Well, basically Thunder Rosa, the current AEW Women's Champion, apparently lost her smile and is not well liked backstage. a whole bunch of drama has happened over the last few weeks, and they just kind of sent her home. So what they're going to do is they're going to appoint, kind of like what they did with Moxley and Punk, is they're going to have an interim champion where, like the UFC, where there's somebody that holds the belt until the actual title holder comes back. Then they have a unification, and that's the recognized. So it's between Toni Storm, who was originally supposed to face Thunder Rosa, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, legitimate doctor, legitimate dentist. I truly think that it's going to be Toni Storm because she was supposed to face Thunder Rosa at All Out, so I could see Toni Storm winning at All Out. But once again, I could see everybody winning, but I really don't want Britt to win because she had the belt for so long.
Interesting.
I wouldn't mind Jamie Hayter, wouldn't mind Hikaru Shida, but I could truly see this being Toni Storm.
Toni Storm. All right, you heard it here first. Tune in, folks. Pay-per-view, AEW, All Out.
Pay-per-view is available on Bleacher Report, or if you check the Cinemark app, and Watchung and Wayne, or the iPick Theater in Fort Lee.
Wow, look at that. Let's see if Rob's predictions are accurate. You've been pretty good lately,
I have been pretty good.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on a future segment. I know WWE Survivor Series is coming up.
November.
And then, of course, we're going to be into the new year where we got Rumble and Mania.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait. Thanks again, brother.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.